Good morning and welcome to Lester Percussion Studio. And I'm sporting my black Percussive Art Society shirt today to promote that fine organization, which is something every drummer in the world can join. Whether you're a jazz drummer from New York City or a rock drummer from Detroit, or a vibraphonist from Los Angeles, or a tabla drummer from India, everybody's welcome. They have an international convention about this time of year. I think it just happened a week or so ago. So anyway, my topic today is drum instruction books that I've used in the past with great success and studied from myself or taught with students, and specifically for Drumset. So first thing I found in one of the books was a quote from Kenny Aronoff that says, "Repetition of any skill is preparation for success," and that's called practice. Okay, so I found this in about 20 years ago, and I used it with private students. This is not something I worked out of, but used it with students and I thought it was fantastic. When I first found it, I didn't know who Tommy Igoe was, although I'd heard of his dad. And when I saw the Vic Firth endorsement on there, I thought, it's got to be good if Vic Firth is going to put his name on it. And it sure is. This copy right here is volume 2, and because I can't find my volume 1. But it's such an important topic in that groove is what people want. Flashy drum solos and tricks and twirling your sticks and all that stuff is not what people want you to do if they want you to play drums. What groove means to me is a steady beat that makes people want to get up and dance. And that's what people want when they want a good drummer. Flashy solos, not really. That's not what they're going to pay you for. So I highly recommend this book. The thing about the book is it gives you, here's just one example. It gives you a simple beat to play at the top of the page with a variation, and then a written out chart like you might see in jazz band or in studio work. So not only do you get to, and then you play along to a recording. And these days, it's been 20 years since I've used the book. So I don't know here in 2023 how you get the recordings to play along to, but I'm sure there's some new technology that lets you do that. And so you learn to read charts after you've played a basic beat that you play along to the recordings. And the recordings are the top musicians in New York City. So you're not listening to a recorded MIDI track. You're listening to actual humans play. Highly recommend that. Something also that I would highly recommend is read Modern Drummer magazine. Here is my copy I just got in yesterday's mail, and it has John Robinson on the cover of one side and Max Weinberg and his son on the other side. All the ads are about drum set stuff, articles on how to do things, interviews with great players. If you're into drum set, you should read this magazine. Now, pardon me. Years and years ago, when I was just getting into electronic drums, I got this book called The Electronic Drummer by Dr. Norman Weinberg. And it is quite old by today's standards, but the one main thing I learned from this book that I would recommend everybody do is don't go buy 3 or 4 electronic things and try to make them all work together. Buy one thing and learn it forward, backwards, and inside out, and then add the second thing and learn it forwards, backwards, and inside out, and learn everything it'll do and get those two things to work together. And then add on another thing and learn it and learn it and learn it and add it on. Okay? The main lesson I got from this book. He also wrote another book that is really good, and I use this mostly when I'm on my computer typing music and I want to know, hey, I got a drum set part here and I got a 5-line staff. What line do I put the snare drum on? What line do I put the bass drum on? Where should I put the cowbell? How about the crash cymbal? You got to know where to put things, and he has gone about standardizing drum set notation. Here, I'll put it up close so you can see it. Standardized Drum Set Notation by Dr. Norman Weinberg. So if you type music on the computer with Sibelius or the other one, Finale, this would be a handy tool to have. I just recently got this book. I'm playing in a band with a guy who's from the Bahamas, and it's called Brazilian Rhythms for Drum Set. He was asking me one day, I think I was playing a mambo for him, and he goes, how are your Brazilian chops? And I go, well, they're okay, but I really could study it more. And he handed me his copy of this book, and then I bought my own copy. And I got a little better handle on my samba beat from this. A couple other good drum books are Stick Control, which is written mainly for rudimental drumming and or just hand coordination. And you can apply it to your feet also. Now, for 4-way coordination, I got this book. It's called 4-Way Coordination, and it was written by Marvin Dahlgren and Elliot Fine from the Minnesota Orchestra. It is got some great exercises for getting 2 hands to work with 2 feet and back and forth and back and forth. Another really good book that I've used with students is called, and it's written by Joel Rothman, and it's called The Mini Monster Book of Rock Drumming. And you know why we call it monsters. Monster is a term musicians use to describe their friends or people they admire in the music business as being a monster. So if you want to be a monster, this is a great book to use. Also, let me mention, back to the Tommy Igoe Groove Essentials book, they have variations, and sometimes I found when I was working with students that the basic beat was okay, but the variations were way too complicated. So I found this book to be a great source for variations when working with the Tommy Igoe Groove Essentials book. So I highly recommend that. Now, when I was a kid, my best friend and I would drive to Madison, Wisconsin, and go to the music stores down by the university, and I would look for drum books that I could comprehend, and I would buy it, take it home, and study it. And one that I did that with is this one, and if you see a list of great drum set books, this will be on the list. And this is, in my opinion, the Bible of swing drumming. If you want to learn how to play swing, you need this book, which is called The Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer by Jim Chapin. And this drum book is just known as the Chapin book. This is great. It teaches you how to play a swing beat. Now, a swing beat, keeping a beat for a swing group, a jazz ensemble, with your time, your quarter note time keeping on the right hand and hi-hat backbeat on 2 and 4. And then the ability to play a duet from the snare drum to the bass drum back and forth. And that's 4-way coordination too. So you can accompany a jazz band and participate in their melodies also. In my humble opinion, rock drummers keep a steady beat most of the time and then maybe get to do a fill at the end of a phrase. But jazz drummers take it to another level where they're keeping time for the band and participating in the melody and setting up the ensemble for a big hit. When all the horns come in, the drums lead them into it as though they're the conductor of the band. I think that's a tremendous skill to have, and I would highly recommend that book for that. I talked before about the Tommy Igoe book, teaching jazz charts, how to read jazz charts, which you need to know how to do if you are doing musical theater productions or recording studio work. And so before I ever knew about that book, I used this one quite often, and this is called Studio and Big Band Drumming by Steve Houghton. And it also teaches how to interpret what you see on the page, excuse me, on the page. And I've talked to other musicians who are as old as me and are playing as long as me, and they don't know how to read music, and they don't want to know how to read music because they have this fear that once they learn how to read music, somebody's going to put music in front of them and they got to read every note. And if it isn't right, they're wrong. That's totally against my beliefs. I don't believe that in the least. I believe that musicians need to play by ear and then learn to read later. And you don't have to read every note, but you just follow the bars and you play what you feel you're hearing in the ensemble. And if you can do that, you'll be a tremendous asset to the ensemble that you're in. So I think I've covered all the books that I need to for today. Please like and subscribe to Lesser Percussion Studio. And I've got a couple more ideas that I'm going to be working on yet today. And so we'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye.